Let's talk about the fates in both mythology and astrology. So, in mythology, they were Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. And one was the spinner. It spun the thread from her spindle. And she was usually called upon in the late months of pregnancy, like the ninth month. And then you have Lachesis, who was the measurer or the allotter, and she measured the thread and allotted everybody their different, I guess, amounts of, I would say, luck and bad luck and things like that throughout the life. And then at the end of the thread, you'd have a Atropos who takes the thread and then cuts the thread. And that's the end of the life. And she was associated with death and endings and the inevitable. Because once she cut the thread with her shears, that was it. That was the end. And so the fates were said to kind of represent the cycle of birth throughout life and to death and what we go through, and both the mix of like what is fated and what is free will throughout the life and things like that. And there's different interpretations of these things, so I won't get into that so much. But when it comes to the asteroids, I want to talk about Atropos, the one who would cut the thread with her shears. So if you look up Atropos in your chart, she relates to the asteroid, but also the mythological fate, relates to endings, and also inevitability within our lives. So if you look up, for example, my Atropos is in the seventh house and relates with my Venus at the same degree. And so when it comes to relationships and endings, a lot of things are somewhat inevitable, but also within my own doing as well, because a lot of times I'm the one cutting the relationship off due to actually I also have asteroid draconic there, so I can be a bit draconic with my endings, with when I cut things off with others. And knowing that combination of energies within me helps explain a lot of karmic patterns that I've seen throughout my life, especially when it comes to Venus related matters and in it being in the house of relationships. So it's a very interesting asteroid. If you look it up in your chart, you go to astro.com and go to the left and use extended chart reading. And then when you go down to the bottom, you can see additional objects and all the asteroids are there. You just look under A. So if you look up Atropos, see what house it is. That will tell you the matters of, somewhat inevitable endings. And then you can also look at the sign and look at the rulers of the sign and things within your chart to start to put together an idea of where you have maybe seen inevitable endings in your life that may have been somewhat fated. So it's a very interesting asteroid, and I'll get into the other fates as well in 2 other videos. So yeah, thanks. And if you want an astrology reading that is focused on the asteroids, you can look on the link to my website.